Market, in the heart of Lagos. Amidst the vibrant chaos of Balogun Market, a story was quietly weaving itself into existence. This is the story of Amara, a woman whose hands held the history of generations, whose stall was a kaleidoscope of color and texture. For Amara, textiles were more than just fabric. They were stories, traditions, and the lifeblood of her community. She wasn't just a seller, she was a custodian of culture, her eyes able to trace the lineage of a pattern, her fingers able to feel the soul of the artisan in every thread. Day after day, she'd share these stories with anyone who would listen, her passion a magnetic force in the bustling market. Little did she know, her voice was about to reach far beyond the market stalls, all the way to the highest floors of corporate Nigeria. One sweltering afternoon, a man dressed in a suit that seemed out of place in the market's organized disarray approached her stall. He wasn't just another tourist looking for a souvenir. This was Tunde Okafor, the billionaire CEO of Okafor Industries, a name synonymous with innovation and ruthless business acumen. But today, he wasn't looking for a corporate takeover. He was looking for something real, something with a soul. He'd heard whispers of a woman in Balogun Market who didn't just sell cloth, but sold heritage. He'd been searching for a new venture, something to connect his global empire back to its roots. As he listened to Amara speak about the intricate process of creating Adire cloth, describing the spiritual significance of each symbol, he saw more than just a product. He saw a brand. He saw a global phenomenon. He introduced himself, and a wave of disbelief, then skepticism, washed over Amara Tunde Okafor here. In her humble stall, he explained his vision, a luxury fashion line that would take the richness of African textiles to the world stage. Not as a novelty, but as the pinnacle of haute couture. He didn't want to just buy her fabrics, he wanted to partner with her. He wanted her expertise, her passion, her connection to the artisans who were the true masters of the craft. The idea was audacious, almost unthinkable. Amara, a market seller, partnering with a titan of industry. The gap between their worlds seemed impossibly wide. Her world was one of haggling over prices to make ends meet. His was one of billion-dollar deals and board meetings. Yet, as he spoke, his eyes held a sincerity she couldn't ignore. This wasn't just about profit for him, it was about legacy. The decision weighed heavily on Amara. This was the opportunity of a lifetime, a chance to elevate her craft and provide sustainable, dignified work for her entire community of weavers and dyers. But it was also terrifying. The corporate world was a foreign land with its own language and treacherous terrain. Could she, a woman of the market, navigate it without losing herself, without compromising the very culture she sought to protect? Her community was divided. Some saw it as a blessing, a path out of poverty. Others were suspicious, fearing exploitation, worrying that their sacred patterns would become just another soulless commodity for the rich. They'd seen it happen before, foreign brands taking their heritage and giving nothing back. Amara spent sleepless nights wrestling with these fears. In the end, it was her belief in the stories themselves, in the power of the textiles, that guided her. She would not let these stories be silenced or stolen. She would be their voice on the world stage. She agreed, but on one condition. The partnership had to be built on respect, authenticity, and a real, tangible benefit for the artisans. Thus began an unlikely and often challenging collaboration. The first few meetings were a clash of cultures. Amara arrived with bundles of fabric, her hands stained with indigo, her language filled with the proverbs of her people. Tunde's team came with PowerPoint presentations, market analytics, and profit projections. They talked about branding, scalability, and target demographics. Amara talked about the spirit of the river goddess embodied in a pattern, the months of patient labor in a single piece of cloth. There were moments of deep frustration on both sides. Tunde's team struggled to quantify the soul Amara insisted was the brand's core asset. Amara felt they were trying to sterilize the magic, to package her culture into a neat, marketable box. Tunde, acting as a bridge, constantly had to translate between these two worlds. He pushed his team to listen, to learn, to see beyond the numbers. He reminded Amara that for their stories to be heard globally, they needed a microphone, and his corporation was that microphone. The breakthrough came when Amara took Tunde and his lead designers back to her village, to the source. They didn't just see the process, they participated in it. They sat with the elders, listened to the myths behind the symbols, and felt the rhythm of the loom. They tied and dyed the cloth with the women, their hands becoming stained with the same indigo that marked Amara's. They saw the faces of the people whose lives would be changed by this venture. In that moment, the spreadsheets and market data faded into the background. They finally understood. They weren't just creating clothes. They were weaving narratives. The brand, which they named Aso Amara, meaning Amara's cloth, was born not in a boardroom, but by a riverbank in a small Nigerian village. The design philosophy became one of co-creation. The artisans weren't just suppliers, they were collaborators, their ancestral knowledge guiding the contemporary silhouettes created by the design team. The launch of Aso Amara was a global event. The runway show in Paris was a spectacle unlike any other. Models walked not to a generic beat, but to the powerful rhythms of talking drums. Each piece told a story, a gown inspired by the Yoruba creation myth. A suit jacket bearing patterns that spoke of courage and community. The fabrics were the undeniable stars. The world's fashion press was captivated. They wrote not just about the beauty of the clothes, but about the story behind them. The story of a market seller and a billionaire, of tradition meeting modernity, of a brand built on respect and authenticity. Amara, dressed in a breathtaking gown of her own design, stood on that stage not as a seller, but as a creative director. Akutarao, ambassador. She spoke about her journey, her people, and the stories woven into the clothes. Her voice, once confined to a market stall, now echoed across the fashion world. Aso Amara became more than just a successful brand. It became a movement. A significant portion of the profits was reinvested directly into the artisan communities. Schools were built, healthcare clinics were funded, and weaving and dyeing cooperatives were established, ensuring the preservation of the craft for future generations. The brand's success inspired a new wave of African designers to embrace their heritage with confidence. It proved that cultural authenticity and commercial success were not mutually exclusive. Back in Balogun Market, Amara's old stall is now a landmark, managed by her younger sister. It's a symbol of what's possible. Amara herself now splits her time between Lagos and Paris, but she never lost her connection to the ground. She is still the woman whose hands can read stories in thread. But now the whole world is listening to those stories. Her journey shows us that a single thread of passion, when woven with opportunity and respect, can create a tapestry that changes the world. Thank you for watching. If this story inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that celebrates creativity and culture.